Hi everybody, Happy New Year. I figured this is a good time to take our sewing back to the very beginning and just learn how to sew. Let's start the new year with learning a new skill. And so if you look back on my videos, you can see that I put on there certain sewing tutorials, mostly alterations, but I have how to thread a machine, how to wind a bobbin. But now I want to get started on just the very basics of sewing so that we can just take you from sewing a straight line to zippers and ruffles and flounces and things like that. So I think we're going to do just a small pillow today, only because I need to make one anyway. So that's going to be our first lesson. So let's get started.
Okay, this is a fabric I'm using for my pillow. It's something I had in my stash, and it's going to make me a rectangular neck pillow. But you need two pieces of fabric that is the same size, 8 by 8, 10 by 10, or 12 by 12. Make sure you cut the edges straight. So the first step we're going to do is I'm going to have you sew one edge of each piece of fabric, and you're going to sew it just like I'm sewing on the seam allowance. And when you start sewing, don't start at the very edge, because there's a chance your fabric could get pulled into the throat plate, causing all kinds of problems with knots and stuff. Start it in about 1/4 of an inch. That way you can back tack a little bit and then move forward. And that'll prevent your fabric from being pulled into the throat plate. And you're just going to go straight down the edge of the fabric. Now, it's easy to want to get caught up watching the needle, but you need to really watch the edge of the fabric to make sure that it stays aligned with whatever guide you're using. I'm using the edge of my presser foot, but if you use another gauge, if you're beginning, I would recommend a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Some people say 1/4, some people say 5/8. I just go 1/2 inch. It's just easier for me. And then you sew all the way to the end. And you don't need to back tack, but you can if you want to. These stitches will not be taken out, and they will not be holding the pillow together. So you do one, and then now I'm going to have you do the other. Following the same procedure, start in 1/4 of an inch, make sure the edge is aligned with whatever guide you're using, back tack, and then move forward. Now you can go on YouTube and you can watch, a dozen other seamstresses teaching you how to sew, and probably a few of us will be doing things differently. There's not one way to do something. I'm self-taught, so I do what makes sense to me, and if it resonates with you and you understand it, then we're a good fit. If not, there's someone else out there who can show you a different way to do it. But this is my way to do things, and this is what works for me. So these are the lines I just had you do, and this is my fabric. This right over here is a fold. This is a raw edge, and this is a raw edge. And again, this is what I just had you sew. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew a line from here to here, and then from here to this end here. And we're going to do the same thing. Start 1/4 of an inch in. Make sure the raw edge is aligned with whatever guide you're using. Back tack and then sew forward. Now when you get to this end, stop your needle on those original stitching lines that I had you do. And if it's not directly on it, just get it as close as you can. And when you get it there, put your needle down, raise your presser foot, and turn your work. This is called pivoting. Now I'm going to sew in about 2 inches, 2.5 inches, and then back tack. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to flip my work over and do the same thing on the other side. And the same thing, make sure your fabric edge is aligned with your guide. Get down to that original stitching line, get as close as you can to it. Put your needle down, raise your presser foot, and pivot. Again, you're going to sew in about 2.5 inches. That'll leave an opening in the middle of the pillow for me to fill it. Now that this is done, we're going to clip the corners so that when you turn your pillow right side out, there's not a bunch of fabric bunching up inside the pillow corner. And that's all you do is just cut off that corner. And the pillow is filled. Now, the original stitching lines that I showed you, I had you do in the very beginning, this is what they're for. Because normally I would hand sew this closed, and when I do that, I can use those original stitching lines as kind of anchors so that when I do my hand stitching, it kind of anchors that and helps me keep that whole line straight. And it also keeps it from stretching out. So keeps it straight, keeps it from stretching out, and acts as an anchor for my hand stitching. But today I'm going to use my sewing machine because I want to use my pillow tonight and I just want to hurry up and get it done. Now, normally I would try to get this real close to the edge, but like I said, it's just for me and I'm not really concerned with it. So I just bring it in a little bit just to make sure that it's closed on both sides. Don't forget to back tack in the beginning, and when you get to the end, back tack again. Just practice getting your stitches straight. You can also use scrap fabric and just practice, draw lines on fabric and practice stitching on those lines. Where they could be curved or they could be straight, they could be corners, they could be loops. And any of that will just help you in knowing how to handle your fabric and maneuver it under the needle. So just have fun with it. And that's it. Have a great day.
Thanks so much for checking out my video. If you like it, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And if you have any comments, leave them in the comment box below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that bell so you're notified when I upload more videos. Let's make 2018 a year of learning. Thanks and have a great day.